For more than 4 decades, Kevin Costner has been a towering figure in Hollywood, the everyman hero who made us believe in courage, love, and redemption. From Field of Dreams to Dances with Wolves to the modern phenomenon Yellowstone, Costner built a career on playing strong men with quiet hearts. But behind the powerful performances and the golden image lies a story far more painful than most realize. At 70, the truth about Kevin Costner's private battles is as heartbreaking as it is human. Costner's rise to stardom was the stuff of dreams. A small-town kid from California, he fought his way up from nothing, waiting tables, auditioning endlessly, sleeping in his car, until the Untouchables and Bull Durham made him a household name. Fame hit fast, and for a while, Costner seemed unstoppable. Awards, wealth, and critical acclaim all followed. Yet success brought with it a loneliness he couldn't outrun. His intense focus on work often came at the expense of his personal life, leaving cracks in the foundation of his family that would one day break wide open. His marriage to Christine Baumgartner, which lasted nearly 2 decades, was supposed to be his safe haven. Together they raised 3 children, creating a life away from the spotlight. But as Yellowstone turned Costner into a global phenomenon once again, the pressures of fame and constant filming took their toll. Their divorce in 2023 was bitter and public, filled with tears, accusations, and headlines that Costner desperately tried to avoid. Those close to him say it shattered him in ways he'd never admit. And now, as he quietly steps back from Hollywood's spotlight, friends say he's facing health issues and emotional exhaustion. The man who once played indestructible heroes now finds himself wrestling with age, loss, and the haunting question of what truly matters when the cameras stop rolling. Kevin Costner's tragedy isn't just about fame's heavy price. It's about a man who gave everything to his art and is now left searching for peace in the silence that follows applause. Yet even in his pain, his story reminds us of something beautiful, that real strength isn't found in staying unbroken, but in the courage to keep going when life breaks you apart. Long before he became a Hollywood icon, Kevin Costner was just a young man with a stubborn dream. Born in Linwood, California in 1955, Costner was the youngest of 3 boys in a working-class family. His father was an electrician who taught him discipline and humility, while his mother nurtured his creative side. But even as a child, Kevin carried a quiet restlessness, a belief that he was meant for something beyond the ordinary. He didn't have an easy start. After studying business at California State University, Fullerton, he worked odd jobs, from truck driving to giving tours at Hollywood studios, just to make ends meet. He had no Hollywood connections, no famous last name, and no clear path to success. What he had was persistence. Costner attended countless auditions, faced rejection after rejection, and nearly gave up more than once. But fate had other plans. His first real break came when he landed a small role in The Big Chill, 1983. But his scenes were ultimately cut. Still, the right people noticed him. Just a few years later, The Untouchables, 1987, turned him into an overnight sensation. Then came Bull Durham and Field of Dreams, 2 roles that captured America's heart. By the time Dances with Wolves arrived in 1990, Costner was not only starring in it, but directing it, a risky move that paid off with 7 Academy Awards, including Best Director and Best Picture. Yet, with success came a weight that few could see. Hollywood's golden boy found himself caught in an endless cycle of work, expectations, and pressure to maintain perfection. Every movie had to be a hit, every appearance flawless. Behind the scenes, Costner struggled to balance the demands of fame with the quiet, grounded life he craved. Friends say that even in his prime, Kevin was haunted by doubt, afraid of losing what he had built. He poured himself into his work, often disappearing for months on set, chasing excellence in every detail. But those long absences came with a price. His first marriage to Cindy Silva, his college sweetheart, began to crumble under the strain. By 1994, after 16 years and 3 children together, they divorced, a painful split that cost him millions but hurt more in emotional terms than financial ones. In interviews, Costner later admitted that fame had cost him dearly. "Success is lonely," he once said quietly. You give your heart to the world, and sometimes there's not much left for the people at home. Despite the personal toll, he pressed on. He refused to let failure define him, bouncing back from box office setbacks like Waterworld and The Postman with determination and pride. And in time, he reinvented himself once more, from Hollywood superstar to country musician, producer, and eventually, television legend with Yellowstone. But even as the world celebrated his comeback, those closest to him noticed the cracks forming again. The same drive that made him unstoppable on screen was beginning to wear him down in real life. He had built an empire, yes, but in doing so, Kevin Costner had slowly lost the one thing he wanted most: peace. For all his accolades and fame, Kevin Costner's personal life was often a stormy contrast to his on-screen persona. The man who could command a battlefield in Dances with Wolves or protect a woman in The Bodyguard struggled to navigate the complexities of his own family life. Friends and insiders say that while Kevin devoted himself to his craft, he often found himself absent in the moments that mattered most at home. Costner's first marriage to Cindy Silva, which produced 3 children, ended painfully. Though they remained amicable publicly, the separation left a lasting emotional mark on Kevin. He spoke of nights alone in his mansion, reflecting on the price of fame and how chasing Hollywood success sometimes meant losing touch with those he loved most. Even as he starred in box office hits, there was a silent emptiness in his personal life, a longing for normalcy that he could never fully attain. His second marriage to Christine Baumgartner brought new hope. They shared nearly 2 decades together and welcomed 3 children, Lily, Joe, and Caden. Christine seemed to offer the stability Kevin had long craved. Yet the pressures of his career, especially the demanding filming schedules for Yellowstone and other projects, gradually eroded that stability. Sources close to the family reveal that long periods on set often left Christine handling the children alone, while Kevin wrestled with exhaustion and the guilt of being away. The divorce that followed in 2023 was especially devastating. Kevin had hoped to preserve a sense of unity for their children, but the public nature of the split made private reconciliation nearly impossible. Those close to him described the actor as heartbroken, frustrated, and deeply reflective. It wasn't the loss of wealth or status that cut the deepest. It was the emotional cost of seeing a family he loved fragment under the weight of life's demands. Through it all, Kevin remained a devoted father, determined to maintain meaningful relationships with all 6 of his children. He made time for late-night phone calls, surprise visits, and shared vacations, often juggling work and family obligations in ways most could never imagine. Yet, even with these efforts, the ache of lost years lingered. Friends say Kevin sometimes confessed that fame had given him everything he wanted professionally, but had taken from him the simple joys of daily life. Watching his children grow, celebrating milestones together, and sharing quiet family moments. By the time he reached his 70th year, Kevin was acutely aware of the sacrifices he had made. The boy from California who dreamed of Hollywood stardom had achieved more than he ever imagined. Yet he also carried the silent sorrow of a personal life shaped by choices, ambition, and the relentless passage of time. In this stage of his life, Costner was no longer chasing accolades or box office glory. Instead, he focused on repairing relationships, reflecting on the past, and finding solace in the love that remained. The man who had portrayed so many heroes on screen was quietly discovering that life's greatest battles were often fought off camera, in the heart, in the family, and in the courage to face one's own regrets. As Kevin Costner entered his 70s, the physical and emotional toll of decades in Hollywood began to catch up with him. For years, he had maintained an almost superhuman stamina on set, performing demanding roles and enduring long hours that would challenge even the most seasoned actors. But time inevitably started to show its mark. Friends and insiders reveal that Kevin has faced health concerns in recent years, nothing catastrophic, but enough to force him to slow down and reevaluate his life. The actor who once ran across prairies, leapt from moving vehicles, and commanded cinematic battles began to embrace a slower pace. He focused more on family, on projects that mattered to him personally, and on preserving his energy for roles that inspired rather than exhausted him. Yet this slowdown was accompanied by reflection, and for Kevin, heartbreak. The public saw him as a symbol of enduring strength, but those close to him noticed a profound vulnerability. He spoke privately of regret, not for his films or achievements, but for the time lost with his children and the quiet moments he had missed in his personal life. The divorce from Christine Baumgartner had reopened old wounds, reminding him of the fragility of relationships and the price of fame. Watching his children navigate their own lives, sometimes without him nearby, weighed heavily on his heart. In interviews and private conversations, Kevin admitted that Hollywood had given him everything he wanted professionally, but had demanded sacrifices he hadn't fully anticipated. The admiration of millions, the critical acclaim, and the wealth were all undeniable, but they came at the cost of intimacy and family closeness. Friends say he often described the loneliness behind the glamour as one of his deepest struggles, a reality that many of his fans could never imagine. Even in this stage of life, Costner continued to work, balancing commitments to Yellowstone, music projects, and smaller independent films, but each role now carried a dual purpose: to fulfill his creative drive and to leave a lasting legacy for those who mattered most. Behind the stoic exterior and signature rugged charm, Kevin faced an internal battle, reconciling decades of professional triumph with personal regrets that lingered quietly, yet persistently. Despite the challenges, Kevin remained resilient. Those closest to him describe a man who refuses to be defined by loss or sorrow. He channels his experiences into mentorship, guiding younger actors, supporting charitable causes, and trying to impart the wisdom he's gained. His tragedy, while deeply personal, is also a testament to endurance, a reminder that even legends struggle with life's most human realities. By confronting his mortality and the emotional consequences of his fame, Costner has become more than an actor. He's a symbol of reflection, resilience, and the courage to face one's own vulnerabilities, even when the world expects him to remain untouchable. As Kevin Costner reached 70, the world began to take a new look at the man behind the legendary roles. From the stoic frontiersman in Dances with Wolves to the steadfast father figure in Yellowstone, Costner's on-screen characters had always radiated strength, integrity, and quiet resilience. But it was his off-screen journey, the heartbreak, the sacrifices, and the personal battles that has left an indelible mark on those who know him best. In recent years, fans and critics alike have started to appreciate a side of Kevin that few fully understood before: the human behind the hero. The divorces, the years spent away from his children for filming, and the emotional weight of fame have all contributed to a story far more complex than any role he has ever played. Those who follow him closely note that his true greatness lies not in the awards or accolades, but in his ability to endure adversity and keep moving forward with dignity. Kevin's family, once shaken by divorces and distance, now sees him in a new light. His children describe a father who, despite past absences, has made every effort to reconnect and nurture their relationships. Late-night conversations, spontaneous visits, and shared projects have helped bridge the gap of lost years. The heartbreak of earlier choices remains, but it's accompanied by gratitude, understanding, and pride. Kevin's children recognize the challenges he faced and the lessons he has passed down, lessons about resilience, accountability, and the power of pursuing one's passion despite personal cost. Fans, too, have responded emotionally. Social media tributes, fan letters, and public events celebrating his work often highlight not just his acting, but the inspiration he provides through his personal perseverance. From aspiring actors to longtime admirers, people see in Kevin someone who has lived fully with all the pain, mistakes, and triumphs that life entails. His story resonates because it reflects a truth that everyone faces. Life is rarely perfect, even for those who seem invincible. In the end, Kevin Costner's tragedy is as poignant as it is universal. He achieved extraordinary professional success but paid a steep personal price, losing moments and relationships along the way. Yet he also demonstrates the remarkable ability to rebuild, reflect, and connect, proving that the human heart can endure heartbreak and still find hope. As he continues to perform, mentor, and create, Costner's legacy is defined not only by the films and characters that captivated audiences, but by the depth of his humanity. His story reminds us that the greatest victories are often private. The hardest battles are within, and the most enduring legacies are measured not in fame or fortune, but in courage, resilience, and the love we leave behind. Kevin Costner's life, with all its heartbreak and triumph, serves as a testament. Even in tragedy, there is profound beauty, and even in loss, there is hope.